welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, Series 16. This is day number 28, and our sketch for today was created by Rebecca. I'm sorry, Rebecca, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. I'm sure it's easier than it looks, but I'm going to mess it up, and I don't want to be offensive, so I'll just not do that. I adore this sketch. I love that it has 6 small photos. I love to do photos in a line across a page like that. She's kind of got them staggered a little bit, which is great, and she's got 4 great clusters as well as layers of paper and plenty of room for journaling and titles. So what I'm going to be digging in today is last year's 49 Market's Christmas Spectacular collection. I bought this after Christmas last year, so probably in January time frame. I was trying to use up some product to finish my 2015 Christmas layouts. I think I was working through HipKit Christmas and a few other things as well. So I didn't buy this before Christmas last year, and if I did, it was just before Christmas, and I haven't used any of it. So none of this stuff was opened, and right now I have kind of a mess here. I've got my Prima metallic watercolors. I've got some other chipboard and the acetate foliage, can't even talk. The ticketed ephemera pieces, as well as all 3 packs of rub-ons, the wishing bubbles and baubles. I pulled some chipboard frames out, some other chipboard pieces from some of those, and I have my photos. My photos are a different orientation. That seems to be my thing this month. I have 3 landscape 3x4 and 2 portrait 3x4 photos, and so I've only got 5 instead of 6, but that's what I've got to use, so I'm going to use those. And I've got 2 of the pieces of paper out. I have the laser die cuts are laying out, as well as a bunch of the chipboard. I'm trying to move things so that I can show you the first paper I'm using. I'm going to be using this piece of paper, and I am going to turn it sideways like that because in her sketch she's got like paper layers on the top and bottom, and so I'm going to use those on this paper as my layers for top and bottom. And then I pulled in this paper, which I'm also going to turn on its side, and I'm going to be using some rub-ons to kind of build it up and add some other layers. So I'm going to pause, we're going to get started, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm going to first cut out the rub-ons from this sheet that I'm wanting to use, and the reason that I do it this way is that way I can leave the other sheets or the other rub-ons on the sheet intact. I know that if I take them apart, I will somehow manage to absolutely make a hot mess out of them. So I like to just cut out what I'm going to use so that I can put everything back into the packaging. I did learn the hard way with another brand's rub-ons, which went on really smooth when I opened them, and then I had a spare little tiny piece on my desktop for a hot minute, and I guess it dried out and then it would not come off. So I am going to make sure I get these back into their plastic packaging for storage, that way that I can still use them later. And I prefer using my Close to My Heart bone folder, the reverse end I've used for years for rub-ons. I prefer using that over the little stick that comes in the set. And in fact, I usually just toss those because I don't use them. And I love how smoothly these go on. And if they don't, you can lay it back down and you can get the little pieces that didn't come off onto your paper. So I'm going to be layering some of these up, kind of giving you the illusion of what's on the pattern paper on the left side, which came like that. I've just turned it along on its side. And I'm telling you, as I'm using this collection, it's a struggle. I always have a hard time jumping into a brand new 49 and Market collection. The thought is always, oh no, you're going to mess it up. It's not going to be a gorgeous enough layout to do justice for this pattern paper. But I got so busy and into the rub-ons that once I started working with it, it just went together so easily and so fast. And my only dilemma is I want more of it. I want more of this paper so much, and I'm not buying more of this paper, but I want it. And I haven't even purchased this year's Christmas collection. In fact, I've flat out refused to look at most Christmas collections. One of my friends messaged me and asked me if I was going to buy Vicki Boutin's new Christmas collection, and the answer to that was, I haven't even looked at it. And then a couple hours later, another friend texted me, and basically we had the same conversation. So I went and looked at it. And it looks like it's selling out really fast. It's a gorgeous collection. But I bought her collection from last year around the same time that I bought this one, after I had finished my 2015 Christmas photos. And I haven't cut into the new to the Vicki Boutin collection either yet. Now that'll probably change. I'm not even close to being done with Christmas for 2016. I've got several more layouts that I need to do, and so I could easily probably use up both this collection and the Vicki Boutin collection, and still have more photos to scrapbook, which is insane. I also have already printed December or Christmas of 2017, and so I have plenty of photos to use for scrapbooking. So these smaller rub-ons, I'm just going to cut out a few to kind of bring in or to layer up on that right-hand side. I don't put any rub-ons on the left-hand side at all because it has enough of its own mixed media already pre-printed on it, and so I'm just trying to mimic that side with this side. I know that it's not exact, but I do really love how it turned out, and I am enjoying playing with these rub-ons. I know that putting the rub-ons on takes quite a long time, and I'm curious, are rub-ons something that you use? For years I shied away from them because I bought so many rub-ons when they were new, and then I didn't get them all used right away, and then when I got other product and got away from using them, and then when I went back to use them, none of them would work anymore except for the basic gray ones or the Making Memories ones, and those actually still work to this day regardless of how old they are. Isn't that crazy? But some of the other brands that I had, they just wouldn't work, and a lot of the rub-ons that I had saved from my first go around buying them, I ended up throwing in the trash because there was no amount of pressure going to get those suckers to work. And so I'm just curious what your take is on rub-ons. Do you have any? Have you had trouble with them? Have you had any trouble with the 49 and Market rub-ons? I haven't had any trouble with the 49 and Market ones at all. I think they're probably the only ones that I really have, except for I did buy some of the All and Create ones from MK Gun's shop, and they went on really nicely, like I said, when I first opened them, but I let one little tiny, it was like really small, sit on my tabletop, and it didn't work. So anyway, let's get back to this. I've got all the rub-ons on the layout that I'm going to put on, and now I'm going to get these frames out. I know that there are only 2 of these frames in the frame set. There are a bunch of other frames and other sizes, but there are only 2 in this size that I want to use, and they don't fit the photos perfectly. They're a little bit tall, which is fine because I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back of my photos and kind of put them inside the frame a little bit wonky. Now they have frames in the middle, so what you're seeing me do here is peeling off the ones that I'm not going to use, flipping them over backwards so that it doesn't stick onto my paper, and then putting them back onto the backing sheet so that I can use them later. So these are the two frames that I'm going to use for this. I love the chipboard frames because they do add a lot of depth, and using frames, of course, means that you don't have to mat unless you want to. And I could have matted these photos to make them fit the frames a little bit better, but I just decided to put the foam adhesive on the back and just kind of set them in there. Those two pictures are going to end up there, and now I'm going to go ahead and scuff the other 3 photos. So the sketch has 6 photos, 3x4 in portrait mode, and I have 2 portrait mode and 3 landscape photos. And so what's going to happen here is I'm going to trim off a couple of the photos. Like this one, I just trimmed off 1/4 of an inch, and then the other one I actually took off 1/2 inch so that they would fit better across that right hand side of my layout. I'm going to scuff the edges like I said. I'm also going to put foam adhesive on the back of these photos. And then underneath the photos, I'm going to layer some of the ephemera bits from that ticket packaging that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And I do end up having to shut the camera off to search through that because I hadn't opened it yet. And I didn't want to make you watch me dig through a pack of ephemera. I had pulled other pieces out of other embellishment packs from this collection, like the other chipboards where I got the 25th and the 3 small chipboard phrases came from another pack. And I also have a little triangle up there in the corner full of stars that I thought I might use on this layout. I don't end up using any of them, and so I put them back where they go. And here I am pulling this out. And this is going to sit in place of that 6th photo, and it is going to be my journaling block. So I'm going to lay that 25th on top of it, and now I'm kind of looking for another piece of the laser cut ephemera. I like the little candy canes, and I'm going to put those up there in the corner. I'm going to take a couple of the postage stamps, and I'm going to tuck those behind that piece of ephemera that I stuck there because there is a a picture of a Santa or something there, and it's sideways because I turned the paper sideways, and so I'm putting that piece of ephemera there to cover that up, and then layering some other bits behind it just to completely cover up the sideways photo. And now I'm kind of trying to decide what other pieces of ephemera I want to use and play with here. When I opened this pack, I saw this ribbon here that I'm playing with, and I knew that I wanted to put that on the layout. It's kind of twisted a little bit from the way I took it out of the packaging, and it is going to end up right about where you see it. Then I have the little branches, and I put a little heart button with a little bow on it, and I end up with 3 of those little heart buttons on the layout. There's 2 black ones, or maybe it's a black and a green one and a beige one, but I end up with 3 of those. And now I'm going to pull out a wreath ephemera bit, and I'm going to put that down on the lower right hand side of the right page. And then I'm going to kind of decide what I'm going to do next. I end up pulling out a little piece with 3 bells on it, and I'm going to stick the heart right on top of it. It looks like that heart is actually green. Probably should have pulled a red one there. I didn't, because there's so much red from the rub-on that I didn't want to put more red right there. So next up, I glued all of that stuff down except for the photos that you saw me playing with, because I wanted to put some splatters on here, and rather than spend time covering up my photos at the end, I decided to go ahead and do it now. And I'm going to use my Prima metallic watercolors. These are amazing, and I think I need to look for another pack of them because If these run out and there aren't any more, I will be so sad. I love them. All of them that I've used have been absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I don't really paint. I just use them for mixed media. But I do love the shimmer and shine that they use. So I'm using the white, the smoky black one, and the green. And normally I would start with the lighter color, and I did. I started with white and go up by color, but I didn't really think that through, and I didn't do that with the green. I didn't put the green second. I ended up doing it at the end. And girls, I made a huge mess all over my space, my hands, my table, the stuff that's sitting in front of me. I've got some organizer sitting in front of me that keeps product that I use, tools, ink pads that I use the most often. Made a huge mess all over my desk. So while this was drying, I had to actually scrub my space just a little bit. So once my splatters dried completely, I cleaned up my mess from making the splatters, I came in and now I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this layout complete. I have backed my photos with some foam adhesive, and all 5 of them, and so I'm just going to start putting some embellishments here. For the most part, the left-hand side is mostly done. There is going to be a title on it eventually, but most of the stuff I have left to do is on this right-hand side, and that's because I wanted to get these pieces of ephemera on here, and these are like library cards, but they're awesome for layering behind photos. And I scuffed everything up off camera, so you didn't have to watch me do all that scuffing. I have that little phrase that says "a wonderful life" on that photo with Jasper playing with the bow from one of the presents. And these photos were taken Christmas morning. And normally our old man Kitty Cat joined us for Christmas, and I don't know if he just decided to stay out of the hubbub that day, or I just didn't take any pictures of him, which would be unusual. But there are no photos of Smudge, or I would have included them on this layout. I was a little bit disappointed because he always played with the bows and things too, but by this stage he's 8 years old, and he had, was starting to act like an old man a little bit already. All right, I got my layout completely finished. I am very happy with all of this. It is usually so hard for me to dig into a new collection, but this one was very easy to play with. I love that I was able to make this basic side look fairly close to the other side by using the rub-ons, and added some layers and frames from the collection. Off camera, I did some foam adhesive under some things, under here, under all 5 photos. They're not quite dry yet. I ended up moving my title here and here just because I'd already used this ribbon piece up here, and I didn't want to cover that up at all. And I got my journaling, and I add some of the wishing baubles in places so that I got a few of those on heart-shaped and some of the dots. And that is pretty much all of it. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe to my channel. You guys have made my channel a success, and I am so glad you're here. If you are new here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Please click that button below if you would like YouTube to notify you when I put out new content. Please click that bell and they will send you a notification letting you know when I upload new content. My normal uploading is 2 to 3 times per week. Right now I have been doing 2 months worth of daily recordings, and that is really tough on a person. Kudos to all of you who do that on a monthly basis all year long. I'm looking forward to November and slowing down just a little bit as we enter the holiday seasons and just kind of doing my new hops. I also want to invite you to my Facebook community group. I will put that link below. I do host a couple of hops on there. If you don't have YouTube, but you share your scrapbook layouts on Instagram, you can play along because I have a list of Instagram participants as well who participate. I'll have that link down there for you. It is not a brand new group. It is a group that used to belong to a really good friend of mine, and I took over because she's moved on to teaching our youth and making some amazing humans out of her students. So she let me have the group since I already host hops there, and I didn't really want to start over and have to invite everybody to a new group. And so I will gladly have you there as a member, and you can share your work there. We love to see your work. You guys have a great rest of your day and a great week. Bye.